Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're here today with a very special brother, Michael Collins, and he's had a health journey that you need to know about. The brother has cured himself of diabetes, and we just think that that's miraculous within itself. And I just had to have him here today to talk about this because the experience and the journey that he went through is remarkable. All the way from the TV show Incurable to what he's promoting today, which is taking back your power. Let's talk about the journey, Mike. Let's talk about that day that you went to the doctor and he broke the news down to you. What was that like for you?
Well, again, going to the doctor is good because you get the diagnosis from the doctor. But again, when you go to a doctor is only going to let you know what you already know, that your system is out of imbalance or out of balance, and that there's an imbalance. So I had already known that there was an imbalance within me, and within that imbalance, I knew that I had to make corrections and changes. I didn't know what those corrections and changes were going to be at the time, because even though I was very health conscious, as I progressed in my journey, I found out that there were things that I thought were very healthy that weren't so healthy. But the doctors don't know it. No, most doctors have not studied nutrition. And there is so much medicine and so much healing in the food that when you go to see a doctor, again, you're giving away your power, because you know what's going on in your body better than anybody else. And when you feel that power and knowing that something's out of balance, you know intuitively what it takes for you to correct that. So when I went to the doctor, of course, I went through all the emotions of being frightened, fearful, especially when I went to the eye doctor and, I was having trouble with my sight. But at that same time, he wanted me to come back and laser my eyes the next week. I fortunately took some time, did some research, got some knowledge and information. But in that interim, in that 6-week period, I started shooting blood, I started shooting insulin, I started taking high blood pressure medication for the eyes, and all this to protect myself. Although not knowing it, I didn't know where the journey was going to lead me. But fortunately, an ex-girlfriend, and stay friendly with your exes, told me about the Tree of Life out in Arizona. And what that was is it just opened me up to a whole new world of raw food, of healing, and really gave me a platform for everything that I wanted to talk about, which is really taking your power back.
Okay. So let me ask you something. So we can get in before we get into that. What were your levels of the diabetes when the doctors kind of explain that to the audience?
Okay. Number one, I really don't want to use the word diabetes too much, because whatever health condition you have, the more you talk about that health condition, the more you're attracting that and attracting the symptoms to yourself. So let's start a new dialogue, and let's start to wordsmith, because it's so important to wordsmith what you're saying. Like, just to give an example, I did a meditation CD called The Meditation of Ananda. And the word Ananda means of bliss, of the bliss within. But the thing that I labored with that meditation was to take out every word that wasn't positive, that didn't have a positive connotation. So basically, it talks about love and non-love feelings. And I could go through all the emotions of fear, hate, lust, anger, pride, all the lower level emotions, and the higher level emotions too, such as compassion, joy, and love. But the whole thing is, it really breaks down to either love or non-love feelings. But when I use the word love, you really hear the love and you feel the love in every cell. But when I use the word non-love, you're still hearing the word love. So if we can start to wordsmith and then start to correct what we're saying, so when we're starting to say, okay, this is not, You know, I'm angry. Instead of saying I'm angry, let's approach it. I have like these non-love feelings, and get back to the point of really loving yourself.
Okay.
So to say all that, to get back to your question, is when I was on that journey and started out on that journey, it was the tree of life was a blessing for me, because there I learned, number one, you know, I went on a juice fast. 3 days into the program, I was off of all medication. So I'd stopped shooting the insulin. I had stopped taking the high blood pressure medicine. And the only thing that I've taken since then were eye drops. The thing is, I got on supplements. And to answer your question, my A1C, which really lets you know the level of diabetes within your body, or the level of sugar imbalance, because again, let's get back to eliminating these words that just bring up, you know, connotations of the imbalance in the man-made belief. My A1C was 12.7. The normal is 6.0.
Wow.
So I was double the speed limit. I was flying, you know. But what does that really mean? Let's say that you had a gallon of water, and you took a 5-pound bag of sugar and put that 5-pound bag of sugar in that gallon of water, and then shook it up. What you would have is you would have such a paste from that sugar. So when you're eating all this sugar and processed foods, what's really happening is you're creating that paste within your body. And so as the higher and higher your A1C is, it's the more that the sugar to protein ratio in your body is out of balance. And so just if you can use that image of that 5-pound bag of sugar in a gallon of water, and you feel the thickness and the viscosity of that sugar, that's what you're doing into your bloodstream. And instead of your body being able to process all that sugar, it actually slows you down and actually starts to break down all your vital organs. Because what we know of this imbalance of sugar in our body is very cruel to us, because it not only affects your energy, it affects your blood level, it affects your sexuality, it affects your circulation, it affects your kidneys and the way that you eliminate from your body. So we're talking about it could be a major breakdown of your whole system.
Okay.
And what we want to look at is wellness. How do you create wellness? It's really not that I want to talk to you about this ease that I went through, but I want to talk to you about how to create ease in your life and how to create wellness. And now you're saying, Michael, how to create ease in my life? But listen, we want to create ease because you're not human. We look at human, and human becomes the excuse for everything that we don't want to take our power back on, everything that we're not clear on. But we're really divine spiritual beings. And when you recognize yourself as a divine spiritual being, then all of a sudden you take your power back, and automatically you start living your life with a clarity of who you are and what you want out of your life and what you want your purpose to be and what you want your vocation. And when we look at the word vocation means your calling. Your calling, and that's what's inside of you, and that's what's calling you to realize your purpose, to find your vocation. We can all work careers, we can all work jobs, but when you come to that point of your vocation and that passion, and where you find what you love, that is the greatest moment in your life.
Well, take me through the tree of life after what that experience was like. I mean, it had to.
Well, the tree of life, and again, the tree of life was a most amazing healing experience for me, because when I went to the tree of life basically embodies 3 programs. It teaches you how to juice fast. It teaches you a class called 0 Point, which is a class that really takes you to quieting your mind. If you can think of all the extremes and how the thoughts go back and forth, you know, you're always justifying your assistant, you're always rationalizing, you're always giving yourself a small portion, that little ration that keeps you in your quote unquote sanity. But the 0 Point really actually takes you back to that point where you're quiet. And when you get quiet, then you find the divinity within you. You start to really find who you really are, and you really realize that we are peace beyond all recognition. When you can say to yourself, who am I? I'm peace beyond all recognition. That's such a beautiful thing. That's such a beautiful, beautiful thing, because then you know your purpose. And to get back to what I was going to say, in the Ayurvedic tradition, they talk about your birthright being ease. The fact that we are divine, everything that you create, when you start to use the principles and the laws of the mind and the laws of attraction, everything is created with ease. And when we get away from these thoughts of who we truly are, that's when dis-ease comes in. So dis-ease is really a breaking up of the harmony that is within. And with the Tree of Life, going back to your question, with the Tree of Life, it basically was a great example of a harmonious situation, because number one, you were eating live and raw foods. Number two, it was yoga and meditation every day. And then thirdly, it was the 0 Point, so it was working with your psychology. And fourthly, they taught you how to prepare raw foods. So again, when you create a harmonious environment and people going through this whole experience together, when I was there were about 22 people doing the juice fast, and I was the only person there in the diabetic program. And the first 7 days, 6 days, well, let me backtrack. Let me be honest. The first day I got there, I went to see the doctor, came up, had a beautiful raw lunch. Somebody said, let's go bless the water. Went to bless the water. Next thing you know, I was passed out because my body was so dehydrated. And so I just passed out, and, you know, they had to come bring me food that evening. They took me down to the orientation, and, you know, I got by. And the thing is, what you realize is that the greatest healer is love. And love comes to you from all ways, all peoples, all shapes, sizes, and colors. And as you remove those limitations from your thought and really start to embrace the wholeness of people and allow yourself to be open and allow the relief to come from anybody, you open yourself up for so much in the universe, so much more in the universe. And at the Tree of Life, people just came and they just embraced me. When I passed out, they carried me back to my room, checked on me, made sure I had food. And so, you know, the next couple of days, I built my strength up. I was doing very well. And what I will say to you is, whatever program you choose to go into, embrace the program fully. If they are offering yoga, if they're offering meditation, go to the classes. You're there. Embrace it. Come out of your shell and let yourself expand and embrace more. And while I was there, I was just allowing myself to expand more. Even though I was involved with yoga, meditation for many years, it was just an opportunity to expand more. And so I was feeling really well.